Hello, welcome back to my channel. As the title says, this is my reaction to the Giller Prize winner of 2023. I'm filming this right after watching the prize, and it's really dark outside, so I was really worried the lighting situation wouldn't be optimal. Like, I don't know what all the lights would look like while being turned on. I usually film during the day, and I was gonna apologize for them, but I think it actually looks okay. Maybe not ideal, but okay. Anyway, I was gonna film tomorrow, but I just feel like I wanna get my thoughts out now, and I have some spare time, so why not? So if you've watched the prize or just looked up who won since it was announced, you will already know that the winner of this year's Giller Prize is Sarah Bernstein with her novel Study for Obedience. I did not make like a formal prediction video. I didn't really post my predictions anywhere except for my Instagram. But this was not my prediction. I thought that The Double Life of Benson Yu by Kevin Chong would win, and I was hoping that Birnam Wood by Eleanor Catton would win. These were kind of my two predictions slash hopes. I did enjoy all the books on the shortlist to varying degrees, but Birnam Wood was my favorite. And then, I don't know, I think I get tricked kind of like by who might be like a fan favorite or something, because when I went to the Between the Pages Giller Prize event in Vancouver a few weeks ago, Kevin Chong's book was super popular. So many people were buying it, trying to get a signature, talking with him. So I was like, wow, this is a book to look out for. And it wasn't a book that immediately, like, or by its description, didn't grasp me too much. Like, honestly, if this book hadn't made it to the shortlist, I probably wouldn't have read it. But I did read it, and I did enjoy it a lot more than I thought, which just pushed me forward even more, being like, wow, this book might win. I didn't like really rank books too much. This wasn't like out of the question for me to win. None of them really were, though. I think they were all really well written books, all books that I personally enjoyed as well, which is not always like a metric for winning, obviously. But yeah, I don't know, something about Kevin Chong's book just made me think like this has so much in it. It's very unique, very interesting, unique sort of story. That just made me think it was gonna win. And Birnam Wood, honestly, I also thought maybe could win. I also think that was a very unique, interesting book, but then again, so was this one. So there it is. I think I liked Study for Obedience overall. I really liked the way it was written. I liked the allegory of it, but it was not a book that I necessarily connected with super well. I didn't love the narrator. I didn't totally understand her or her motives or everything she was doing. It was a very vague book. I talked about it a little bit in my October wrap up when I read it that month. And yeah, it was just, I don't know, another book that I probably wouldn't have necessarily picked up if not for its many nominations, including this one, and now its win. I think for the writing and the allegory, it definitely deserves the win, but yeah, would not have been necessarily my pick. But I am not one of the judges. Anyway, I don't want to make this video super long. I just want to share my reaction. Congratulations to Sarah Bernstein and to all the other nominees, the shortlisted authors. It was really great to participate in this prize in the way that I did, like reading all the shortlisted books. I'm very grateful that I was able to read all of them before the prize was announced. And I'm slowly getting into some of the other like long listed books now as they come into like the library with for me. The Between the Pages event was really cool to go to. I've never really been to something like that, and this is the first time I've really watched like a full prize like this. Other prizes that I followed, such as the Women's Prize for Fiction, take place in the UK, and so I never watched the full thing. It either happens at an inconvenient hour. I don't think I have access to all of it anyway, so I just kind of watch a short clip of who the winner is in the winner's speech typically. So yeah, that's been very fun to do this year. But I do want to talk about something as well that's been weighing on me as I've been following this prize. And if you did watch the live recording of the Giller Prize, then you might have heard some protesters in the gallery, and you might have heard, I didn't fully actually hear what they were saying, but I think they were chanting that Scotiabank is funding genocide. And this is something I've, again, wanted to talk about for a bit because I've known this for a little while since following this prize this year, that Scotiabank is the largest investor in Elbit Systems, an Israeli weapons manufacturing company. And this is obviously extremely timely, especially now. I think I would have wanted to talk about this regardless of whether the events on October 7th had happened or not. But I think it is unfortunate that this book prize is sponsored by a company that is investing so much in a weapons manufacturing company. I think they are the company's largest investor around the world, Elbit's largest investor. And so that's not insignificant. And honestly, I think it was very cool that the protesters went and they did their best to, I think, interrupt the event. And as much as I wanted to know who the winner was, and I think it was an overall fun event, I was very happy that they were trying to interrupt it, and I wish they had interrupted it more. I think these sort of like normal things need to be interrupted, and I'm seeing people interrupt certain Canadian politicians as they do go to their events and disrupt and remind them that this is happening, that there is something going on in Palestine, there's a genocide happening, and that as politicians and as large companies like Scotiabank, they are in ways complicit by not talking about it or by having these investments. And it's so interesting that this book prize, I mean, obviously it champions diversity, it champions stories about social justice and oppression, racism, sexism. There's stories about war, about immigrants, about just difficult things, stories that were nominated or shortlisted this year as well as in previous years. And we can talk about these things in books. And I think so many people say like, well, books are now more important than ever. All these stories need to be told. We need to listen to like marginalized or oppressed voices. We need to, I don't know, stories can connect us and all these things about how important it is to, I don't know, read diverse stories. But then the largest sponsor of this book prize is also investing in a company that is doing harm to so many marginalized and oppressed people across the world. These weapons are used against Palestinians. They are tested on Palestinians before then being bought by other countries to use around the world towards other oppressed people. I think weapons manufacturers are evil, like in general, but with the like precedence of the events that are happening now, I think this one in particular really needs to be spoken up against. And these protesters today were calling for Scotiabank to divest from Elbit systems. I have in the past, earlier this summer, gone to some of these marches in my city as well. And we have stood outside Scotiabanks and chanted and tried to bring attention to their sort of investment in Elbit systems because it's disgusting. And it's really unfortunate because, sorry, I love following these book prizes. I love it so much. I love discovering new books. I would not have probably read almost any, if any, of these books if not for the Giller Prize. And I think it's an amazing opportunity to all these authors, some of them being maybe newer authors, lesser known authors. The $100,000 prize, obviously not nothing for any of them. And I am genuinely happy for all of them, but I don't think we can be silent on this. And I will be posting some resources below just about this. If you, I don't know, want to learn more, there's a podcast I'll be posting. It's obviously not short, but if you really are interested, I highly recommend it. The podcast is by Tech Won't Save Us. It's a really cool podcast in general. I haven't listened to too many episodes though, but this is one that particularly interested me. And yeah, it just talks about how Elbit and probably other Israeli or just other weapons manufacturers in general, but we'll stick to just Elbit right now, test these weapons on Palestinians before selling them internationally. And yeah, I don't know, I've already said that. It's just, I don't know, disgusting to me that Canadian company would invest in that. But perhaps not surprising because a lot of Canadian politicians have been very silent on this and I think feel that they need to somewhat parrot what American politicians are saying because we do know that Israel is one of the US's largest allies. So I'm not fully surprised, but I am disappointed. I'm absolutely disappointed. And I don't know, I don't feel like I've necessarily given Scotiabank too much publicity by following this prize and the few times I've spoken about it on my channel, but it's out there. Like they're obviously getting press for this and I don't know, like they're a bank. Like I don't know if people, like how people choose their banks. My dad just signed me up for one that had like no fees when I was 16 or 17 and I had my first job and I've never changed banks since. It is not Scotiabank, by the way. They are somehow getting obviously good press from this and it is just so wild to me that they have representatives talking about how important books are and how important this prize is, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure that maybe some of the representatives aren't super aware of the investment. I'm sure not everyone who works at Scotiabank supports it or knows about it. But yeah, I think we should be aware. And I think we should be calling for them to divest, again, as the largest foreign funder of Elbit systems. And these things happening to Palestinians, they're not new things. This has been happening for such a long time since, I mean, really pre-1948. But specifically since then, and in our lifetime as well. It's not, I don't know, it's not something just started this year. It is not, I don't know, as complicated of an issue as some people might think it is. I understand why people think it's complicated. It's definitely portrayed that way in a lot of the media. I just think it's an important thing to speak up about, and I will not stop speaking out about it when I have the opportunity and when I can, and especially when it's relevant like it was tonight and like it has been throughout this prize. And yeah, I'm sure Scotiabank will continue being a sponsor for the Giller Prize. I don't know if they will ever divest from Elbit systems. I sincerely hope they do. I hope the pressure does get to them. I think one day we will look back on these events and wonder how, I don't know how we let this happen and how things went so far and just how disgusting it was. I've been truly saddened by what's been going on. I mean, since before October 7th, but especially since then, it's been obviously in the news constantly. So it's been really hitting me and it's been very upsetting. This is something I've been educating myself on for the last while. So yeah, I don't know. I know I'm not the most eloquent person. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have been speaking on this issue a lot better than I have been. And again, this isn't just gonna be like a giant history lesson. I do not want this video to be super long, although maybe I'll talk about it more in another one. I am reading another book on the history of Palestine, and I intend to read more. But I just thought I would say something about this as someone following this book prize and someone who hopes to follow it in the future. Again, I do love book prizes, and I do believe the things they say about books, like bringing us together and all that stuff. That maybe sounds a little like phony to some people, and I do think that it might be a little phony coming from some of these people, but I do believe in it, and I think it's important. And I know I have a small channel. I just started this earlier this year. I haven't put out that many videos. I'm still trying to figure out like what people want to watch and what I also want to talk about personally. So this is one of those chances or moments that I wish I had more of an audience to get this out more, and I'm very happy that, again, these protesters were out there doing that, and maybe someone heard, maybe someone was like, oh, maybe I'll look this up and I'll look a little bit more into this. But I do have even a limited platform, so I'm going to use it this way. And yeah, again, I will post resources, but if you have more questions or you want to talk about this with me, I think I have my email somewhere. You can comment below and I will be happy to help you out. I'm always very happy to just, I don't know, teach people about things or just make them aware, because yeah, not everyone knows. I didn't know this until this year. I've only started learning about the issues in Palestine like 2 years or 3 years ago. So I really was not aware for most of my life, even though these events they've preceded my life, but there've been some big events happening like as I've been coming to age, like I think something in 2014 and 2020. And I don't know, I just didn't know until more recently. So it's okay if you didn't know, for sure. And if you have questions and you want to learn more, that is absolutely understandable. But yeah, I don't want this to drag on too long because I really wanted to get this message out because I think that's very important. And yeah, I am still curious, like, about your thoughts on the prize and who you maybe thought won, what you thought of the live stream and just the event overall, and specifically about what the protesters were doing. Again, I thought it was super cool. And I'm not in Toronto anymore, which I think is where the event was held, so I could not have joined them, but if I were, I would have. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate this, and I will be back with a new video soon, and have a lovely day.